They changed the age of these monuments 3 times. What are they hiding? In 1798, Napoleon's scientists said the Sphinx was 2,000 years old. In 1900, archaeologists said 4,500 years. In 1990, a geologist proved it was over 10,000 years old. So which one is the truth? And more importantly, why does the number keep changing? And why does it always go in one direction? Always older, always stranger, always harder to explain. Every history book tells you these monuments have a specific age, a specific builder, a specific purpose, neat, clean, settled. But what they don't tell you is that these same facts were completely different 50 years ago, and completely different 100 years before that. And every single time they update the story, they don't announce it, they don't apologize, they just quietly change the number and hope nobody notices. Tonight we look at 4 monuments whose age was officially changed, not once, not twice, but 3 times or more. And every single time, the truth got older, got stranger, and got harder to explain with the history we were taught. Stay until the end, because the last monument is the one they actively tried to bury. The Great Sphinx of Giza, the most recognized monument on Earth. You've seen it in every history book, every documentary, every school project. Official version, built around 2500 BC by Pharaoh Khafre. Case closed. Except it wasn't always 2500 BC. Change number 1, 1798. When Napoleon invaded Egypt, he brought with him 150 scientists and scholars. The best minds France had. Their job was to document everything. After studying the Sphinx, their official conclusion? Roman era, roughly 2,000 years old. That was the expert opinion, written down, published, accepted. Change number 2, 1905. A new generation of Egyptologists looked at the same monument, same stone, same site, different conclusion. They pushed it back to the Old Kingdom. Now it was 4,500 years old. The Roman theory disappeared from textbooks as if it never existed. Change number 3, 1991. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Dr. Robert Schoch, professor of geology at Boston University. Not a conspiracy theorist, not a YouTuber, a published academic with decades of peer-reviewed work. He traveled to Giza and did something simple. He looked at the erosion. And what he found didn't match the official story. The erosion on the Sphinx wasn't from wind and sand like every other monument in Egypt. It was deep, vertical, rounded. The kind of erosion you only get from one thing: heavy, prolonged rainfall. He brought the data back, consulted with other geologists. The conclusion was unanimous. This erosion pattern requires thousands of years of heavy rain. The last time Egypt had that kind of rainfall? Between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago. That's not a small revision. That's not rounding up. That's pushing the Sphinx back 6,000 years before the pharaohs. 6,000 years before the civilization that was supposedly responsible for building it. The Egyptology community's response? They didn't look at the data. They didn't run their own tests. They attacked Schoch personally, called him unqualified, said geologists shouldn't comment on archaeology. One senior Egyptologist told him directly, there was no civilization capable of building the Sphinx that long ago, therefore his findings must be wrong. Let that sink in. The argument wasn't about the erosion, it was, we don't know who built it, so it can't be that old. His findings still stand today. Peer-reviewed, published, unrefuted, and still officially ignored. Now let's go to Turkey, to a hill that nobody cared about for decades, Göbekli Tepe, in southeastern Turkey, near the Syrian border. For decades, archaeologists looked at this hill and assumed it was a medieval cemetery, surveyed it, noted it, moved on. Change number 1, 1963, the University of Chicago sent a team. They looked at the hill, identified it as a Byzantine cemetery, not worth excavating, filed it away. Forgotten for 30 years? Change number 2, 1994. A German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt was reading through old survey reports. He came across the 1963 notes. Something about the description bothered him. He went to Turkey. He started digging. What he found in the first week alone rewrote human history. Not a cemetery, not Byzantine, not medieval. A massive temple complex, circular structures, T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing 20 tons, covered in detailed carvings, animals, symbols, abstract shapes, aligned with astronomical precision. Change number 3. After carbon dating. The site came back at 12,000 years old. Let that number sit for a moment. 12,000 years old. That's 7,000 years before Stonehenge. 6,000 years before the wheel was invented. 5,000 years before writing. 4,000 years before the pyramids. This is the oldest known temple complex on Earth, and it was built by people who, according to everything we were taught, shouldn't have been able to build anything. In 10,000 BC, humans were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers, small nomadic groups, following herds, living in caves or temporary shelters. No agriculture, no permanent settlements, no social organization. Yet Göbekli Tepe required something extraordinary, the ability to organize and feed hundreds, possibly thousands of workers. The engineering knowledge to cut, transport, and raise 20-ton stones. The symbolic and artistic sophistication to cover those stones in detailed, meaningful carvings. Experts now believe it wasn't just one culture that built it. Multiple phases of construction, over thousands of years, which means there was a civilization, organized, intelligent, capable, existing for thousands of years before we thought civilization began. And here's the part that nobody talks about. At some point, whoever built Göbekli Tepe deliberately buried it, not abandoned it, not left it to decay. They covered it, intentionally, under tons of soil. Why would you bury your own temple? What were they trying to hide? Or protect? They've been excavating for 30 years. They've uncovered less than 5% of the site, and the publication of findings has slowed significantly in recent years. Why? Stonehenge, England's most famous mystery, standing stones on a flat plain in Wiltshire. Everyone knows the image, but almost nobody knows how many times the official story has changed. Change number 1, 1740, the British antiquarian William Stukeley studied the site for years. His conclusion? A Druid temple, built around 60 BC, Roman-era Britain. That was the accepted version taught in schools for nearly 200 years. Change number 2, 1950s and 60s, carbon dating becomes available. Scientists test the site. The results are not 60 BC, they're not even close. 2500 BC, Bronze Age. The Druid theory collapses overnight. New textbooks, new documentary, new story. Change number 3, 2008. A major excavation project called the Stonehenge Riverside Project begins digging around the wider landscape. What they find changes everything again. The stones themselves, 2500 BC, but the site. The location was already sacred 10,000 years before the first stone was placed. Cremated remains, ritual objects, evidence of continuous use going back to 8000 BC. Whatever Stonehenge is, it wasn't invented by Bronze Age people. They inherited it. They built on top of something that already existed for thousands of years. And then there's the engineering problem, the one nobody has solved. The bluestones at Stonehenge weigh between 2 and 4 tons each. They didn't come from Wiltshire. They came from the Preseli Hills in Wales, 200 miles away, across rivers, across terrain, across the sea. No wheel, no horse, no rope strong enough, no boat large enough. Modern engineers, with full knowledge of physics, materials science, and ancient construction methods, have tried repeatedly to recreate the journey. In 2001, a BBC documentary team assembled a large group of volunteers and attempted to move a single bluestone replica using only methods available in 2500 BC. The stone fell into the water on the first river crossing. The experiment was abandoned. The official textbook explanation to this day? They probably used wooden sleds and rollers. Probably. That word is doing a lot of work. Now the last one. This is the one they tried to shut down entirely. Bosnia, 2005. A researcher named Semir Osmanagic was traveling through the Visoko Valley when he noticed something unusual about the hills surrounding the town. They were too symmetrical, too geometric. He began surveying them. His conclusion? Pyramids, the largest pyramid complex ever discovered. The scientific community didn't investigate. They didn't send teams. They didn't run tests. They laughed. Change number 1, 2005. Official statement from the European Association of Archaeologists. These are natural geological formations, not pyramids. Case closed. Change number 2, 2006. The Bosnian government funds a proper excavation. Ground-penetrating radar scans the hills. The results are difficult to explain as natural formations, geometric angles, right angles, tunnels running underneath, stone blocks at the surface, showing signs of artificial construction, carbon dated at 25,000 years old. Change number 3, 2012. A research team measures something coming from the top of the main hill, called the Pyramid of the Sun. An energy beam, narrow, focused, frequency of 28 kilohertz, not radio interference, not geological noise, a coherent, directional signal pointing straight up from the apex of the hill. It's been measured dozens of times since, by different teams with different equipment. Same result every time. Nobody has explained it. And the response from mainstream archaeology? The European Association of Archaeologists issued a formal open letter calling on the Bosnian government to shut down the excavation. Not to review it, not to send independent experts, to shut it down. Their stated reason? It was damaging real medieval archaeology at the site. But independent observers noted the excavation was being conducted in areas far from any known medieval sites. When scientists write formal letters to stop other scientists from digging in the ground, you have to ask yourself, what are they afraid of finding? 4 monuments, 4 official stories, all of them changed, all of them getting older with every revision. We're not saying every expert is wrong, we're not saying there's a single hidden hand controlling history. We're saying something simpler. The story keeps changing, always in one direction, always towards something older, more advanced, and harder to explain with the civilization timeline we were taught. If the Sphinx can jump 8,000 years in a single study, if Göbekli Tepe can appear out of nowhere and push back the birth of civilization by 6,000 years, what else is buried? What else is waiting under a hill somewhere that a team has been told to stop excavating? The stones don't speak. The data does. And the data keeps saying, we started much earlier than they told us. The next video covers what's been found in the tunnels beneath Göbekli Tepe, the section they haven't published, the section they stopped letting journalists photograph. That video is already up. The link is right here.